Good afternoon, you lovely lot. Excuse my very noisy washing machine. I'm going to get YouTube up on this so I can see the comments at the same time. If that's doable. I'm assuming I can log in this way. I don't know. I've never done it before, but I thought it might make life easier. My washing machine will finish soon. I probably should have waited till that finished before doing this. Right, let's see if I can. Oh, yeah, there's my live. Turn the volume down. And then I can check the live chat from here. And then I'm not faffing around with all of that, am I? So, what we got? 4 people in the room. Oh, 2. 2 of them left. Bye. So, why am I here in the middle of the afternoon? In the middle of the week? You might ask yourself. Where are all the children? Good morning, having my coffee. Not there yet. Well, it's actually afternoon here, but yes, good morning to you. I've got a cup of tea. What was that? Something just fell. I've got my tea. Can you hear that washing machine? Is it very noisy and very distracting? It's on its spin cycle. It should be finished. Nikki, hello. I'm trying things a bit differently today. I've got my laptop set up and I've got my phone in my hand so I can check the comments here without having to flick and, scroll. Although they are popping up nicely over there. Let's make sure I've got it on proper chat, shall we? Top chat is on at the moment. Let's go to live chat. Hey, look, squirrel. Love it. Diane, hello. Wonderful afternoon. It is. It's about, what is the time? 2:46 on a random Thursday afternoon. And you might think, Pip, should you not be doing the school run? Yes, I should, is the answer. I should be doing the school run, but I'm not. There's a very good reason for that, because today's plans went completely up in the air. Does anyone want to guess why I'm not working? Go on, take a guess. Why is Pip not working? Why am I unable to open my doors to families in my childcare setting? Why am I sat here chatting to you lot, which is perfectly lovely, but it's not work. 6:45 in Oregon. Coffee with Pippa morning. That's good. I like that. Have a nice cup of tea. That's my cuppa. I've got my Herbie Nonsense cream that I'm loving. It's definitely making a difference to my hands. The weather here is lovely. Was tempted to sit out. COVID. Northern Flicker, hello. Diane Collins. You're not far off there, Diane Collins. Karen, hello. Under the weather? I'm not under the weather. Kenzie Bear last night came into the bedroom and had a temperature, the snuffles, and aches, which means we've had to go for a PCR test. And I can't open until we get negative results. But even though his lateral flows were negative last night, I brought one down to put in the bin this morning, and there's a very faint line by the test bit, and I'm like, And it does say don't pay any attention to them after 15 minutes. So it might not mean anything, but he's 93 days past his last positive test. If it had been under 90 days, we wouldn't have been able to get him tested again. But 93 days, or it was yesterday. So yes, he's not got an official positive lateral flow. It wasn't, but it's looking more positive now. It's been sat for several hours. So we've gone for a PCR anyway, because he's feeling rubbish, bless him. So, yeah, I can't open, obviously, if there's a suspected case in the house. I obviously can't have kids come here. And so I had to ring everybody yesterday, or put a message on our group yesterday and say, I'm really sorry, but I can't work until we get the negative. And it's not going to come through today. So my weekend has started. I was then meant to be doing my safeguarding course, which is usually my safeguarding, you go and spend a day doing it, and I need to do 2 sections. I need to do my generalist and my designated lead because I am my own boss, and so I do both roles. And I logged in, but it wouldn't let me log in because it says that my login has expired. It's never said that ever. So I don't know if there's a problem with the site. I changed my password and it still wouldn't let me in, still kept saying the same thing. So I've had to email them and say, please, can you tell me how I can get in? Oh, so I can do my course. Oh, excuse me. Yep, so I can do my course. So nothing's really going quite to plan. Lee's upstairs doing an online course at the moment. So he's just had a tea break. I've made him tea and he's rushed back up to log back in for his second part of the course. He's got about another hour left. And Brendan's at work and Kenzie's in bed. So that's where we're at. What? I'm trying to get my phone to... Why is it not turning around? Go that way. Okay, let's have a look. Who has replied to me? Gemma Journey Grace. Lovely to have you here. Julie. Hello. Is it all quiet with you and your small people, or are you not working? It does feel very odd. It feels like a Friday because I'm not working. It just... something very strange about it. I keep thinking, right, tomorrow's the weekend. And it's not. It's not the weekend at all. Well, it will be my weekend because I don't work Fridays anyway, but yeah, I kind of feel like I'm a day ahead of myself because I'm not working. I'm well, thank you, Gemma. I'm not bad at all. Yeah. I have a bit of a sore throat coming, but I'm wondering if it's just me being a bit... I'm slightly snuffly, but nothing like I think I'm just being more aware of it because Kenzie's not well. So then you start thinking, oh, maybe this is something. But we'll see what his test comes back as. Probably won't find out till tomorrow. Why am I yawning? Excuse me. I think it's the minute I start talking, I start yawning. Need to breathe more during my conversation. I do it when I'm reading stories to the kids as well. The minute I start reading them stories, I start yawning. And it's not that I'm bored. It's just what happens. Very strange. Maybe I don't take enough breaths between my talking, because I do talk quite fast on my live streams. Just slow down. Let's have more pauses. Right, let's check in with my latest. Oh, poor Kenzie. Yes, poor Kenzie. It's always poor Kenzie, isn't it? Bless him. Gemma, I hope you're well. Yes, I've read that and I'm not bad, thank you. Kim Kelly, good afternoon from Kim and Cora. I look fed up. I'm not fed up, to be honest. I mean, it's, it's a day off, isn't it? It's an unexpected day off, and I hate the fact that I've let all the families down. But it's part of the course, isn't it? It's the world we're living in at the moment, and you have to follow the procedures. And the procedures are, if anyone is unwell, they have to go and get tested. And yeah, my childcare procedures are I cannot open. So it's fine. I'm just a bit fed up that I can't do my safeguarding course, because that today would have been the perfect time to just get that done. And I was meant to be taking Kenzie to the doctors this afternoon about a different issue, but we've had to cancel that, obviously, because we have to wait for the results of PCR. A friend is meant to be coming tomorrow. Excuse the yawning. My friend is meant to be coming tomorrow to help me make new blinds for Spog, my van. But obviously, if Kenzie's positive, she can't come. So I'm not quite sure how. I mean, I can leave the house, obviously, because I'm not positive. I just have to do lateral flows. But she might not want me to come to her if I've been in contact with Kenzie, obviously, which is understandable. So yeah, as long as, and I said to her, I'll let her know when we get the results, because if we get the results like 6 o'clock in the morning and they're negative, then we can go ahead with our plans. But I'm quite excited about that. Spog is having new blinds made. So for those of you that are regular viewers, you will know that Spog currently has these sort of dark bluey grey sort of big check type blinds that don't go up and down anymore. I have to roll them up, and the backing, the blackout backing on them is starting to crumble a bit. And yeah, like I said, the pulley bits don't work on them anymore. Haven't worked since I've had him. And it's been on my list of things to do, is to somehow make new blinds for Spog using blackout material, and then the nice light camper van fabric that I made the front cover for on that new kitchen storage unit that I made in the summer for Spog, when I ripped out the internal bit and made that bit that sits on top of one of my seats. So I want to use that material and make blinds, all being well. So she's very good with, excuse me, sorry, she's very good with seamstress stuff. She's very skilled in that department, and she said she would help me. I have suggested several times that I'm going to pay her for her work, but she's not having any of it. So I've said I will take her out for breakfast or dinner or something, and we'll do that on another day as a thank you. But she's just asked me to look after the dog for the weekend, so I feel a bit better about me doing that favour for her and her helping me with this thing that I need doing. So I don't feel so bad about her not accepting pay for it. And the dog's a love. This is the dog we had just before Christmas. Was it just before Christmas? Or was it just after Christmas? I think it was just before Christmas. We had her overnight, and she's such a sweetie. She is a Beagle Cross. I think she's 18 months, 2 years. She's not very old. She might be over 2. I don't know. I'm not very good at timing since the whole COVID thing. I'm not very good with timing, because I kind of feel like those 2 years were almost like stasis years and things didn't age. I do it with kids as well. I forget they age. So yes, we're going to be looking after the dog over the weekend, which will be lovely. And Lee and I have had a discussion, and we've had a chat mainly with Kenzie, because he wants a dog. And I've been saying, look, it's a lot for me to deal with, and it's a lot of responsibility. And we've had a dog before when the boys were much younger, and it's like having another child. And so we had a conversation, and if they need somebody to foster her or adopt her or whatever, when they all go to Saudi Arabia, because her husband is changing his job, and he's going to Saudi in February, beginning of February. So the idea is they're going to follow her, and her son are going to, and their son is going to follow him over. And if that happens and they need someone to have the dog, then we've said we would happily step in and do that. And Kenzie says he will be dog walker and what have you. So we will we'll see if anything comes of that. I don't know. She said that had taken a huge weight off her mind, knowing that we had offered that and there was that option for her. So that may or may not happen in the coming year. We'll have to wait and see. Right, to check on comments again, haven't I? Where have I got to? David Rackham, hello. I like the eyes. Big eyes. Thank you, Gemma. I hope Kenzie feels better too. He's currently upstairs, lay in his bed with his game controller, with his monitor on his desk over there, playing. Oh, what is he playing? He's playing a game that I got on my DS a long time ago and didn't do very well at, but it was a good game. Animal Crossing, is it? Animal Crossing, I think. Can I ask, the sourdough stuff, is that like a ginger beer plant? I want to make sourdough bread, but not looked into it yet. Will I need the gloop you have here? Okay, so sourdough, I don't know about a ginger beer plant, to be honest. So sourdough is it a yeast? Is it? I don't know how you make a sourdough starter, to be honest. There will be, if you put it into the Google, because the Google knows everything, how to make a sourdough starter, it will tell you. I think it's things like yeast, sugar, flour, water. I'm thinking, should I have put sugar in the sourdough starter? In the gloop. That's made me wonder, did I feed it the right amount of stuff? Or is it just flour and water? I'm going to have to check. But I was given the starter. So the gloop I've got, I was given. And the idea is you feed it, you give it food regularly. So each week you have to feed it. And then when you want to use it, she says, bring it out, let it start bubbling away. Because when it's in the fridge and it's cool, it doesn't do as much. And you bring it out on the side, let it bubble away. She said, or if you feed it, let it do its thing. And then use some of it. And, and then replace, if you see what I mean, feed it. And then it obviously, because it will just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Or if it gets too big, you can gift some to other people. But she made these amazing brownies for my friends. What I need to do is get myself a gluten-free sourdough starter. So I need to look into that so that I can make myself gluten-free sourdough bread. Because the sourdough bread that I've currently got, which is a free-from, doesn't taste like free-from bread at all. It actually tastes like normal bread. I think because it's really airy. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do, is get myself also a gluten-free sourdough starter and have the two going so that Kenzie can make the brownies, with the original recipe that she used. Because the minute you start doing things with gluten-free, it goes a bit faffy and it's not always as straightforward. As Kenzie's found out today, bless him, when we got back from the test centre, he wanted to make churros, those long things that are usually fried in oil, but he got a maker from my sister for Christmas. So he made a batter mix, but he made them gluten-free because the only plain flour we had was gluten-free. So he made them with gluten-free and it was so stodgy. And I said, I think you need to add more water. So I kept adding more water to it. And I had to explain to him that the problem with a lot of gluten-free flours is they absorb so much moisture and you have to really add a lot more liquid than you would do with normal plain flour. So I suspect there will be a difference to making the sourdough starter gluten-free. But yes, definitely look at how to make a starter. If you were closer, I would happily make my starter bigger and then give you some. There's friendship cake that actually I've done over the years where you get given a starter and you look after it for about 2 weeks and you feed it and you make it big and then you gift it to about 5 other friends and you cook with the bit you're left with. And I think it's really nice. It's like this friendship cake that keeps being given out to people and then they give it to their friends. It's probably deemed as quite unhygienic now. Not unhygienic, but maybe people don't like the idea of that sort of thing anymore because this sourdough starter has been made at someone's house and then it's gone to someone else's house and more and then someone else's. And you just have to hope that the people whose homes it's gone to in the previous time before it's come to you are hygienic people. I know where this sourdough starter has come from. And so I know that their house is lovely and clean and they have good hygiene. So I'm not worried about that. But I suppose if you were having it from somebody who got it from someone else, who got it from someone else, then I suppose. But you know what? It didn't kill us. Probably made us stronger. Where am I at? Where am I at? Donnie, hello, hello. I was just filming on my vloggity vlog that I have received your little package of goodies. So thank you very, very much for that. Super grateful. You sellotape that up well. I had to get the scissors out and chop it. Sourdough bread is better for diabetics, so Lee might be interested. Okay, that's good to know, because at the moment he's just avoiding all bread. So sourdough bread is better for him. That would be really good, because he would like to have some of these things occasionally. At the moment, he says he's not really missing sweet stuff. But I feel so bad. Like, I've still got chocolates and bits left over from Christmas, and I'm kind of trying to eat them when he's not there. But I put some on the side yesterday thinking, oh, I must finish those off because I don't want them hanging around for too long. And every time he left the room, I tried to sneak one in because I felt bad eating them in front of him. Are supply chain issues hindering my shopping experience in the UK? Shelves are mainly bare here. Grocery shopping is slightly frustrating. Northern Flicker. In some, I think it's actually better than it has been. Before Christmas, we had issues. Like back in, was it October, November time? There was definite issues. But I don't feel that things are as bad now as they were. I did go to a shop the other day and there was big empty shelves. What was it I was looking for? Can't remember what I was looking for, but the shelves were very empty in that particular department. So I don't know if it's specific items are hard to get hold of and are not, maybe these things are imported or they're not, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's as bad as it has been, if I'm honest. The Crabby Hermit. Hello, lovely Pippa. I'm late, but it's nice to see you live. Thank you very much. What a lovely message. It's lovely to have you join me. How many have I got? 11 people. 12 people. 12 people in here on this rather unexpected Thursday afternoon live stream. For those of you that are just joining, I am not working today because last night Kenzie came in with a temperature, sneezing, runny nose, and saying he ached. So obviously I've had to take him for a PCR test today. And he's 93 days past his last COVID positive test. So technically it could be again. And if I'm honest, I'm really not sure what to expect from the test results because the lateral flow didn't come up as positive. And it says ignore it after 15 minutes. But we picked, when I came down this morning with the tray and I put the lateral flow on it and I put the cups and stuff on it so that I would go and bin the lateral flow because I was coming downstairs with bits and bobs to tidy up. I looked at the test and there's a very faint line and I'm like, it does say to ignore anything after 15 minutes. But it is slightly worrying that a very faint line has come up on the test after this amount of time because that doesn't normally happen in my experience of taking tests twice a week. So I don't know really what to expect of the test results, but he's feeling pretty rubbish. Churros made me sick in the middle of roadworks in Barcelona. Every time you mention them, it reminds me. Oh, I'm very sorry, Kim. Yeah. It's not good, is it? When you have something that makes you sick, for whatever reason, it's really hard to then not get that same feeling when you then hear about it or smell it or experience it again. I have the similar thing with the Harpic lavender toilet fresh block that goes in the toilet because before Lee and I lived together, but when I was pregnant with Brendan, my housemate and I, we had those lavender blocks in our toilet. And when I spent most of my early pregnancy with my head down the toilet pretty much all day and some of the night, that was there. And so it just reminds me of morning sickness. So yeah, I totally get it. Anne Bertle, hello. What was your favourite age thus far? If you could go back, what age would I pick to be? What age would I pick to be? See, childhood was great because I had so much energy and you were free to play and everything else. But I do like to be in control of my own life. And, you know, your parents are always telling you, or teachers are telling you what you need to do. So, you know, go have a bath, go to bed now. So, and also I worried terribly as a child. I was really racked with a lot of anxiety. So I probably wouldn't go back to my childhood. I'd probably go back to my early 20s, actually. I would probably go back because that was a fun time. I'd been in a long-term relationship since I was 16, and I hit 21, and just before 21, I came out of that relationship and I started to do a lot of the things that I didn't do before. I was out clubbing with friends, I was hanging out with them. Everything was just a lot of fun. I had disposable income. I had a really lovely nanny job that I loved for a family I loved. I look back now and I think when I ache and I can't move in the way I used to be able to because my body's getting older, I sometimes wonder if I could be put back in my 20-year-old body for a day, how would I feel? And it would probably be lovely going that way, but it would probably be unbearable going back to this body and feeling the general aches and pains and what have you that come with age. So probably my 20s, early 20s, pre being pregnant, post coming out of that long-term relationship, for that sort of period of time. What was it, 4 years, 3 years, something like that. Probably that time, I think. Good question. A shot of apple cider vinegar with the mother every morning is really good for cutting sugar cravings and type 2. Do you know what? I hear a lot about this apple cider vinegar, but I can't get my head around the idea of taking a shot of vinegar. But I know a lot of people that swear by it. But, well, you know, if it's going to help him and he's willing to do it, then I might join him on that. Does it taste like vinegar? I mean, I can't think of anything worse. Well, I'm sure there are a lot worse than putting a shot of vinegar in your mouth. Meat is hard to find here and ground beef is very high. Very high as in high price? Or is that what you mean, high price? You see, what I want to do, and I've done this a few times, and then I stop, is actually there's a local butcher's sort of farm, what's it called? Farm shop, that's what I was looking for, that my sister and sister-in-law go to regularly. It's not very far from here, and they get their meat from there. And because they're paying more for good quality meat, they don't eat meat as often. And I've been thinking more and more about actually getting my meat from, not last Christmas, we've just had the Christmas before, I got all my meat from them. And you when you walk in and you see the price of the meat, you're like, but actually the quality is so much better. Cooking the meat, you get none of that water, fatty stuff that comes off the meat, and it's much better quality. So I want this year to try and get into using the local farm shops more. It is more expensive, but it's also good quality and sustainable. So worth it, I think. But yeah, they still have meat, obviously, because they're not relying on shippers so much. Although there was that issue, wasn't there, about the lorry drivers getting meat to the abattoir and getting it back. You know, that whole process was a problem for farmers. I don't know what's happened with that. I don't know if it's been resolved. Crabby Hermit, you wish folks would understand the jabs don't prevent infection or the spread of the crud. They only lessen the effects if you catch it. Exactly. This is the thing. We're all going to catch it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this particular Omicron variant is so incredibly transmissible that it's inevitable. At some point, we're all going to get it. But thankfully, it seems to be more of an upper respiratory than a lower respiratory infection, which means less people are ending up in hospital. And of course, most of us will have had 1, 2, 3 vaccines. So again, that's giving us some protection from getting really sick. Kenzie has had 2 vaccinations, but his second vaccination wasn't, it was the 22nd of December. So about 4 weeks ago, what are we on now? 3 weeks ago, something like that. It was just before Christmas. So he's had his second jab quite recently, but yes, we're over the 2 weeks mark. Definitely over the 2 weeks mark, because the new year would have been, I don't know, however long ago it was. I'm thinking 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks ago. But no, it doesn't stop you, unfortunately. It just means you don't get sick. Thank you for that great answer. I find ages and experiences so interesting. No, that's okay. It made me think. It's a good answer, a good question. It is a good question. I liked it. I do often think about different stages in my life, because as probably is the case with most of you, if not all of you, you don't really feel like you've changed. Like you don't feel like you've grown up, or you don't. I remember thinking I'll be so grown up when I'm in my 20s, and then like, no, I'll be so grown up when I'm in my 30s, and just imagining that I would be this very wise, very able to deal with anything, very grown up. And the older you get, the more you realise there's never this magic grown up age where suddenly you're the big grown up and that everyone's just winging it. Even your parents, even if they're in their 80s, they're winging it. They still probably, their bodies feel different, but I bet you they don't feel like this big grown up. High price, right? Okay, that meat was a high price. You mix it with squash and it helps. Oh, like juice. Okay, yeah, he'd have to find a sugar-free squash to have that with then, because that's the apple cider vinegar, yes? And you hold your nose. Do you end up with vinegary breath? Karen had COVID and have had the first series. Had a moderate case. 2 of your friends who had no jabs died. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. You do believe in the effects of the injection? Yes, I do. Everyone to their own opinion, and I would never say that vaccine should be forced on people. I think people should have the right to decide. My issue with the anti-vaxxers, if you want to label them as anti-vaxxers, my problem is when they become like vegans, and I'm doing that again because, again, I don't have an issue with vegans. It's the ones that are militant and feel that because you don't agree with their life choice, they need to convert you into their way of thinking. And I have my vaccines. I eat meat, but I would never tell anyone else they had to do the same. And I wouldn't try and justify my reasons for doing it either. It's my personal choice, and it's right for me, or it's right for my family, or it sits right in my mind from what I've read or what I have experienced or the research that I have done. But you may have read different things, and you may have different research, and you may have different life experiences, and all of those things will affect the decision that you make. And so you are totally entitled to your different opinion, and I respect your different opinion fully. But just please don't try and push your views on me. And it's the same with religion as well. I have no problem with anybody's religion, following anybody's religion, but please don't tell me that I'm going to go to hell, or that you're praying for my soul because I'm not of the same religion as you. You know, it's just don't. That's the only issue I have with people. Please don't force your point of view on me, because I would never do that to you. So there you go. That was a bit of a sidetrack, but yes. Where am I at? Less is better, and even fully boosted, it can still kill. Yeah, it absolutely can. And you don't know what other people's comorbid conditions are, which makes them weaker or more prone to things. If you've already got respiratory issues, then an upper airway infection could be just as difficult for you to deal with medically as having a worse lower respiratory infection. So yeah, absolutely, it can. We just lost one fully boosted older person and one unknown status, and 5 families spread it around like Christmas cookies. Thus my name, the Crabby Hermit. Yeah, I don't blame you for having the Crabby Hermit. I'm so sorry. So it's like you've lost 2 people, one fully vaccinated and one that you don't know whether they were vaccinated or not. I'm so sorry. People are dropping like flies with it. They really are. This one is so transmissible. And even though it is believed to be less severe, for some people, yeah, it can be life-threatening. You know, it can. There's no arguing it. It can be. All in the work crew that I support from home doing the office work. All in the work crew that I support from home doing the office work. So these people you worked with, but you work from home, but they're like out in the field working. Is that what you're saying? Ellen, hello. I love how you share your truth. So kind and wise. I'm so happy I caught some of your life today. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. I feel the world is full of a lot of people who feel their opinion is right and the only opinion. And I think that's really sad, because our whole lives are different from each other. And even people within the same family can have had such very different experiences in their lives. And that colours your views and your opinions and your beliefs. And then as you grow older, you do your own research on things depending on where your interests lie. And all of that colours and changes who you become as a person. And I know for sure I'm not the person I was when I was 20, and I'm not the person I was when I was 30. And the people that I was then was created by the people I spent time with, the job I had, the experiences I'd had to date, books that I had read, things I'd seen on TV, being a mother, you know, all of those things contributed to making up the whole of who I was at that time. And since my 20s and my 30s, I'm now in my 40s, about to hit my middle 40s, and I've had more experiences that again have changed who I am. And I know there were times back in my 20s when I would sit at a toddler group back in my nanny days, and I would gossip about, oh, did you see what so-and-so said? You know, I got involved in that. And I remember when Brendan was about 2 years old and I moved here, I remember saying to my best friend that I was glad I wasn't going into town to meet in those toddler groups anymore, because I found that I wasn't being drawn into the gossip like I had been, and I felt better for it. That I wasn't judging other people, and I wasn't getting drawn into the, oh, did you hear what so-and-so said? Did you see how they dealt with their child? Oh, did you? And I just thought it's much healthier to not be drawn in to that drama, because inevitably, if somebody is talking in a group about somebody else who's not present, then what are they saying about me when I'm not present? So, yeah, I know that that's very different to how I am now. And that's not to say I won't have a discussion with somebody who I'm very close with and very trusting of, like a family member or a very, very close friend, where I won't sit and have a conversation about a mutual friend. But it's done in a different way. It's not done in a, oh, did you hear about what they did? It's more of a, did you hear about that? That's, that's such a shame, isn't it? And more about how you feel for them rather than some sort of excitement over the gossip, if that makes any sense at all. It's a conversation that's had with some respect, I suppose, as opposed to just having a good old gossip at someone else's expense. And that's another reason that I just don't do the toddler groups with the children I look after anymore, because I find it so hard to be in that environment now. Yeah. Wow, that went off on one, didn't it? Where was I? I'm doing that thing again that YouTubers do when they are reading and not paying attention to the camera. Why do we do it? So, oh look, it's just started snowing. Oh, you lucky duck. We've got beautiful sunshine, no snow. But snow is February for us. We usually get snow in February. I'll stop wagging my finger at you. What is Lee studying for? I'm not going to say, because I don't know if he wants me to share it for you. It's not studying. It is a course he has to do for a reason. That's all I'm saying. Yes, a construction company that builds high-dollar homes where I live. Ooh, very nice. Could you build me a really nice log cabin on a lake with a nice fireplace? That would be lovely. Thanks. They dropped their guard. You see, and that's it. We get complacent as well, don't we? Because it's been around, this whole COVID thing has been around for so long, we do drop our guard. You hit it on the spot 100%. Oh, good. Thank you, Ellen. That's good to know. Patrick, good afternoon. That's all right. You're not late at all. I'm just here because various reasons. I'm not working and I can't do my course that I was going to do. So having a lovely chat with you, lovely lot. Missy, hello, hello. Oh, good. I'm glad, Crabby, that I'm making perfect sense. That's good to know. I don't often make sense, so. Right, there's the tea gone. Oh, what I should probably do is just place this here, because for those of you that are regular watchers, maybe you should be in a live stream too. Can anyone spot Mini Spog? He will be in the vlog later, if you look very carefully, helping me with a little project. Ow! Oh, Tink's popped in. Hello, Tink. My mod has arrived. My mod Tink has entered the room. So seeing Tink in here made me think about yesterday's Name My Goo, which is naming the sourdough starter that I was given. And I have to say, Tink came up with such an awesome name, and that was Worm's Eye Goo. I love it. But it's a bit difficult to say I'm going to go and feed my Worm's Eye Goo. So what I might do is come up with another name, like pick one of the other names that people came up with and call it whatever, the Worm's Eye Goo. So combine the two maybe, but I definitely want to use Worm's Eye Goo as one of the ways to describe my new sourdough starter pet. So thank you for that. That was very creative, Tink. I love it. My sister loved it as well. She came up with calling it Keith because it's a sourdough starter, a twisted sourdough starter. And I thought that was good too. But again, a bit of a mouthful. Just calling it Keith, people wouldn't get that at all. They'd be like, why do you call it Keith? So I did like the twisted sourdough starter. It's a sourdough starter, twisted sourdough starter. Knuckle cracking, tut tut. My granny would tell me off for that. Thing is, it's so satisfying. I don't crack a lot of bones. I mean, my boys like Brendan goes crack, crack, crack. Puts his knuckles in his back and everything goes. I mean, he literally is like a box of Rice Krispies. But for me, and I sometimes squeeze my wrists as well, and they go pop. And when I walk up to the school, I'm going up a slight incline. If I push my leg back, it makes both the backs of my knees crack, which feels better because they then feel like they're not locked, which is nice. But yes, I do hear it's supposed to be very bad for you. Mark Tyler, good afternoon. How are you? Thank you for joining. We've got 12 people in here, which is very nice. I don't have a time frame. We're coming up for the 40. Oh, we're at the 45-minute mark. It was just one of these random. What shall I do today? I'll do a live stream. I was at my 5,000 mark. Did anyone actually see that I actually hit my 5,000 subscriber mark? And then typically I lost about 11 subscribers. Just like that. Went from 5,000. I knew that would happen because that's what always happens. It fluctuates a little bit and then goes, and it did. It dropped off. So I'm still waiting to hit the 5,000 mark again. And then eventually, it'll move into the 5,000 mark further and further is what I'm hoping. And it will be a constant 5,000 plus rather than around the 5,000 mark. Bird's Nest, hello. Good morning. Yes, it's afternoon here. It's 3:30 in the afternoon on a beautiful, frosty, very bright, sunny Thursday afternoon. It's lovely out there. It's the sort of time, what I would be doing now normally, if I wasn't having a complete mess up of my day's plans, I would be walking back from the school run and would be heading down to the park for the rest of the afternoon and hanging out there as long as possible until the weather told us otherwise or until it got dark, because the kids are just so much happier outside, and they can run and be noisy, and yeah, it's just so good for them. And yesterday it was 4:30 and it was still really sunny, and at 4:45, so was it about 20 to 5, and the fish and chip van arrived on the other side of the green, and I took the children, we walked over to the fish and chip van, and they know us because we're regulars every fortnight there. And I said, I haven't got the money on me. Can I order it now, walk home and send my lad up with the money to pick it up when it's ready? And they said, yeah, no problem. So it was about 5 minutes to 5 when we got back, and it was just dark. So it's definitely improving in the evenings. Before long, we're going to be able to hang out at the park all evening again, which is how I was doing my childcare before. Not lockdown, but COVID, when we could go to parks again, and I could take the children to parks, we were spending all our time outside. We were literally coming home from school, dumping the bags or taking them to the park with us, picking up snacks, and then just hanging out at the park, and parents were picking up from the park, because, like I said, it's just so much better for the kids, and all that fresh air meant there was less chance of us sharing anything. And now I struggle. If I'm not outside at one point or another in the day, I do find it hard. I was tempted to go for a walk today, actually, but I was expecting to do this course, and so I didn't. But I might go for a walk tomorrow. Well, it depends. I'm either doing the blinds for SPOG tomorrow, or if we don't get Kenzie's PCR results, or if they come back positive, then obviously my friend can't come over to do SPOG's blinds. So I will go for a walk if the weather's nice. I'm not a rain walker. Don't like getting wet. Let's have a look at my live chat. Live chat. Oh, Minxie's in the room. Hello, Minxie. I saw you did a live stream just before I did mine, but by the time I'd clicked on it, you'd gone. So sorry I missed that. Hope you're feeling better, because I was watching your daily vlog as well the other day. And so yesterday morning, I think I was watching it, and you were not feeling very well. So I'm hoping you're feeling much better. Tink likes the idea of double barreling the Goo's name. Megavan Mike, good to have you here. Hope you're well. Crabby Hermit, you'll get more. When I dropped my old channel, you lost one and then got one back. Brilliant. I appreciate that. So I'm going to go and check out what was your old channel, Crabby Hermit? Is this somebody I actually know, but you've changed your name and therefore I don't know. It's been 4.99k for a long time. It really has. It's been the longest change in my subs ever. It's just taunting me. Mark's in a lot of pain as my 67-kilogram husky jumped on the bed and landed on me and broke my legs. Holy smokes, Mark. Broke both your legs. That's pretty terrible but impressive. Ouch. When did this happen? Like, are you now currently in plaster? Are you... Poor thing. Hugs to you too, Laura. 65 here, but we'll have a high of 71 and sunny. What's that in English money? 65. What's that in English money? Just jumping on Amin because in the middle of editing, but wanted to say hello and you love my channel. I love your channel too, Minxie. You are lovely. Looks over at my dog, warning him not to ever do that. Yes, get a smaller dog. I remember waking up, it was nowhere near as bad as what you're going through. But I have, at my parents' house, they have like this loft conversion. Well, it's not even a loft conversion, it was built with this funny shaped roof. And the highest point in the loft is probably 12 feet tall. Probably maybe just under 12 foot. It's really tall. So there's me, and I can't even see out the window. I had to climb on my radiator to see out the window. And then the big window, and it runs all the way along. And my cat used to get on my wardrobe and then walk along the window frame, which was about that thick, and then fall inevitably from the windowsill straight onto my stomach in bed and frighten the life out of me, wind me, and wake me up with such a shock. Never broke my bones. It's just above freezing in Wisconsin. I don't know what the temperature is. There is a frost out there, and there's definitely a frost now in the shade because obviously I had to go and empty the bird bath, which had ice in it, so it's not much above freezing. Northern Flicker is jealous. Sounds lovely. Rainy and cold. Yeah, we've had a lot of rain and a lot of cold. I don't mind cold, but I don't want wet. It's gone, and don't check me out. I'm a very crabby hermit. Fair enough. I shan't bother. But I'm glad you've subbed to me, so thank you. 65 degrees is 18 degrees. Oh, that's positively tropical. Wow. Yeah, that's like an English summer, that is. Oh, you've put 21 degrees. That definitely is. 21 degrees is definitely an English summer. Wow, I'm impressed. You found me years ago because you were building a van, which is on hold indefinitely. Oh. Now I just sit here doing what I can, waiting for the storms to pass. Oh, that's sad. That's an indefinite pause. Oh, I'm glad you found me. I do keep doing little tweaks to Spog, but I'm definitely not a van building channel, am I? I did find out, if Donnie's still here, he will know this because he was there at the time. When Donnie was putting the roof vent in my Spog, we obviously cut a hole in the woodwork and cut a hole in the metalwork, and realised that all Spog had in the way of insulation was that fiberglass stuff that you use in loft insulation. So that would be why it gets so very cold in Spog. And that's obviously not good because damp is going to get in there, and it's just really bad. The whole thing was a bodge job, really. But I love Spog, so I'd never get rid of him. But at some point, I am probably going to have to rip all of the carpet off the walls, and then I'm going to have to pull all the panels off the walls, and I'm going to have to re-insulate. And if I do that, then I'll put all the electrics on the inside of the walls. It'll be a job that I do at some point. Probably. See, the other thing I want to do is get... panels, solar panels. But again, if I'm going to do that, I should probably re-insulate the whole of the car. Would you like to come and show people how you're walking? He looks like he's pooed himself.
I've got cramp.
He's seized up. You have to get closer. Closer.
I've got cramp.
He's got cramp. Come down, say hello. You bend. Do you want to tell people what you're doing? I just said you were doing a course. People
I was doing a lovely. I was
I was doing a lovely speed awareness course.
He said it, not me. He's allowed to tell you, but I can't tell you his private stuff.
But what I did notice is one of the pictures, I thought, I recognise that bit of road. I've only ever been there once, but I recognise that bit of road. It was only Matlock Bath.
Oh, was it Matlock Bath?
There was a big sign on the end of the building that said Matlock Bath.
Can you speed through Matlock Bath?
We can speed anywhere.
There's always a lot of traffic in Matlock Bath.
There is.
It's like speeding on the M25, isn't it?
Yep.
It's got to be impossible. So you're done now?
I'm done now. I've been electronically registered.
That's a naughty boy and was doing, what were you doing, 36?
36 of the 30.
Tut, tut, you'd never catch me doing anything like that.
No, definitely not.
You might not catch me doing it.
Rubbish, yeah, rubbish.
Yeah, most of that's rubbish or insurance paperwork that I need to deal with for the house insurance, I think.
Yeah.
So yes, that's what he was doing his course. For those of you that were curious, and I wasn't going to give you the full info because it wasn't my place to do it. He's told you, so there you go. Speed awareness course. Right, where am I on my messages? My right leg was bent at 45 degrees forward and ripped all the muscles and tendons off the back of the knees. His dog jumped on him. His husky jumped on him and broke his leg.
Who?
Mark Tyler.
Ow. Oh,
yes.
Husky. That's a heavy dog.
Yes. Bent it the wrong way.
Yes, we've been there, haven't we? With ankles bending the wrong way.
Yeah, Lee's ankle bent the wrong way when he tripped over a kid's slide in the rain. That went crack too. Birdnest says hello, Lee. Patrick says hello, Lee. Tink says hello, Lee.
Hello, everybody.
Besides your how I get to see the UK and I love to come along for the walks and trips you take. Well, maybe I'll film a walk tomorrow, depending, like I said, on the results of Kenzie's test or whether or not the results come in. If the results don't come in before 10 o'clock in the morning, I shall go for a walk. If they come in before 10 o'clock in the morning and they're negative, I will be building blinds with my friend for Spog. And if they come in the morning and they're positive, then I shall go for a walk and get some fresh air. So yes,
it's not quite sure which way it's going to swing.
No, I was telling them about the test has a line on it, but it's very faint and it's well after the 15 minutes. So it's like you're not meant to take that to mean anything. He doesn't look happy, does he? Bless him.
No, but he's good. He's just full of yuck.
It could just be a cold because those things do exist.
I've had a cold for the last month.
Yeah.
I've been bummed up.
Could be just a cold.
Just be the horrible.
We forget things like colds.
Horrible weather.
I heard on the news today that hospitals and doctors are seeing 90-something% less cases of normal childhood illnesses in the last year. Things like, what was it they were saying? Glandular fever and tonsillitis and all the things that children end up going into A&E with because they've got poorly. They're seeing a lot less cases. So I guess that's positive, but at the same time, if we're not exposed to bugs, then we'll have a really low immune system. So, it's one of those things, isn't it? So whereabouts are you, Crabby Hermit? Where are you in the world if you're getting to see the UK? You were caught on a static camera doing 32 and a 30. You're all right doing 32 though, aren't you? They usually give you a 3%, 10% leeway. So you can usually get away with 33, but you can't get away with 44. You can get away with 44, but you can't get away with 45. There's usually a 10% leeway for slight variations in speed calibration on your speedometer thing. I was caught. I've got 2 speeding tickets in the past. This is before they did the speed awareness courses. Both of them, my boys were babies. The first one, I was doing a nanny job, which for various reasons I ended up leaving. I ended up doing my childminding and then leaving that job because there were just too many compromises. But during that time, Brendan was a 9-month-old baby. I was doing school runs in Oxford, 2 different private schools in Oxford, which took me through Oxford and at rush hour, took me ages to get back. And inevitably at some point, Brendan would want feeding. And he was a little tiny prem baby. And it was hell trying to get round. And I remember being told by the boss that she'd arranged a play date back at the house and that the child was being dropped off at a particular time, which was going to be impossible for me to get back to that child, to get back for. But being young, instead of me texting her and saying, could you change the time, please? Because there's no way I'm going to get there for that time. I just tried my best to get there. And there was a patch of road where there was no houses, but they'd just built a roundabout further out to do like a bypass. And I got to past the houses and put my foot down thinking I was in the 60 and went past a speed camera, came up to the roundabout and then realised that they'd changed the speed limit between what used to be the 60 sign and the roundabout, and they'd put the 60 sign up at the roundabout. So on autopilot, I got to the bit past the houses and went, and I got caught doing 36, 35 miles an hour. Obviously got a ticket and a fine. And then when Kenzie was about the same age, I'd gone to Asda. And when I got to Asda, my car, there was this like smoky stuff coming out the bonnet. And I thought, oh, that's a bit weird. Opened the bonnet and everything seemed fine. Anyway, then on the way home, there was this, what I now know to be steam. But in my worried, panicked brain, I was like, there seems to be smoke again. And so my friend lived around the corner. He was a house dad. And he was around the corner from where I currently was. So I thought I'll drive around there and get him to have a look at it. Maybe he'll know a bit more about it than I do. And because my brain was in, let's just get there and get the bonnet open. Again, I got caught doing about 35 miles an hour on the speed camera just outside his house. Well, just around the corner from his house. So both times I got caught doing just over the speed limit. And had to pay a fine and get points on my license. My license is clear now, though. But what happened was I had 3 years of points on my license, and then they came off, and then I got another 3 points on my license. Where was I? You got 3 points. Oh, really? That's very unusual. That's interesting, Mark, because there is usually a 10% leeway. That seems a bit mean. Brightness of the line depends on the viral load, I was told. Yes, I believe that to be the case, but I was told you ignore anything after the 15 minutes on the nasal ones or anything after half an hour on the throat and nasal ones. And this, we didn't notice had changed until I brought it downstairs this morning on the tray. So, don't know really. Calibration error. Thank you. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Calibration thingy on your speedo doodah. North Carolina mountains, a few miles from Tennessee. My sister-in-law is from North Carolina. I can imagine your accent now because Bettina is from North Carolina. Yes, North Carolina. I always go, is it South or is it North? Definitely North Carolina. I can't remember exactly where though. J. Charles Outdoors. Thank you for popping in. Good to have you here. All my American friends are all popping in. Okay. I was told I did all my silly driving before speed cameras. Oh, you were lucky. Patrick was lucky. Did all his silly driving before speed cameras were a thing. I don't think I was driving before speed cameras were a thing. I think I passed my test around about the same time. When did speed cameras become a thing? Tink, you're good at this sort of thing. Could you Google when the first speed cameras came into the UK, please? I'm pretty certain a speed camera was put outside my secondary school while I was still there because kids kept running across the road to get to the bus stop on the other side, and several of them got run over after school for not checking the road properly and cars going too fast. So they put a speed camera, and that was the first speed camera I think I remember. So I think I was still at school. So that would have been 90s. I'm going to take a guess, actually. I'm going to go with 91 because I left school in 94. 94? Would that have been right? The little girl I looked after was born in 96. So maybe I left in did my GCSEs in 93, I think, and I Did another 1 year course. I think I left school in 93. We'll see if Tink's still around. Maybe he'll come up with the answer. He's good like that. I was lucky. I did almost, read that one. Birdnest did the same. And Crabby Hermit. Now I'm the little old lady who makes everyone build behind me go the speed limit and curses the even slower people ahead of me. Oh, Sunday drivers they're always in silver cars. And they're the 40-mile-an-hour drivers everywhere. That's what annoys me. They're not even sticking to a speed limit. They just can't drive at any other speed other than 40 miles an hour, even in a 30. Your accent depends on your mood. I can make it thick or as soft. As I didn't lived in other places. She has a very strong accent, my sister-in-law. Speed cameras were early 90s, I think. Yeah, see, that's what I'm going with. I'm going to go with 91. Feel really old now. 94, yes. Just leaving school. First UK speed camera was in 1991 on the M40. There you go. And it was my neck of the woods. M40, my neck of the woods. Do we know whereabouts on the M40, just out of curiosity? Was it in the Oxfordshire neck of the woods? Oh, that was a good guess. Good guess, Pip. Do I get anything for that? Do I get a prize? But thank you, Tink, for finding that. You are a fountain of knowledge. Makes me feel really old. I left school in 84. My sister was 4 years old in 84, which would have made me 7 in 84. Lee says things like this all the time. He says, back in 1980, and I'm like, when I was 3, and he was at school. Can you relate to leaving school in the 70s? No, because I wasn't born until 77. So I certainly can't relate to very much in the 70s, apart from dribbling, burping, and crying. Got to laugh, haven't you? Got to laugh. Oh, hold on a minute. Let me just check my email now. My username for the site is this. You've reset the password to this. Do you know what? It changed the username. What you said below, it sounds like it may not be our site you are trying to log into. Really? Oh, I might have been on the wrong site. How embarrassing is that? I had it. Well, sorry. Sorry, are you still there? I didn't mean to. I was hoping my favourites would pop up. Something went drastically wrong there, didn't it? But click on that. Let's just not fiddle with it. Oxfordshire Safeguarding. In the Oxfordshire OSCB.org. OSCB.org. Now, I was definitely trying to log into their site. And it definitely did say, speak to your employer. But anyway, I'll try again later with that, or maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I'm trying to do a lot tomorrow, aren't I? I learnt a new word. Right, let me find what the new word is, okay? See if you can guess what this word means, and no cheating and using Google, okay? But I told my sister that the new word is her name because it suits her, because it's very her. So the new word is tidsoptimist. Okay, a tidsoptimist. Without Googling, what do you think a tidsoptimist is? It's definitely my sister. Definitely. Again, there's no prize for this. You just have to try and work it out. Right. Tink says somewhere in West London. Never eat shredded wheat. West London. West London, well, yes, because the M40 is my side of London. Duh. Okay, so yeah, not a million miles from me then. I am... So the M40 goes into the A40 as you hit London. So, yes, that would have been Beaconsfield way, probably. Yeah, out that way. Graduated high school that year. Wow. The summer of 76. I do not remember that summer. other than my parents telling me it was the hottest day in history and it was the longest period of time with no rain. But I don't remember it because I wasn't here. Caroline B, hi. You're 9 years old, Patrick. Where are you from, Patrick? I keep seeing your name pop up, but I don't think I've ever asked you. Are you local? Like local as in this country, not local to me. It was the US's 200th anniversary. What, in 76? That makes it feel really... Do you know, I did know that the US wasn't that old. But when you say it's only 200 years old, that feels really young. So how many generations is that goes back? I mean, obviously not Native Americans, because obviously the piece of land is older than 200. So how many generations old is America? And the other thing I wanted to know is, religion seems to be incredibly important in America. Just from doing YouTube and blogging, there seems to be far more very involved practicing Christians in America than I've ever seen in any other country. Certainly far more than in England. Christianity seems to be a big thing. And is that because it was pilgrims going over, and so it's continued because it's still quite a young, with generations. It's not had time for other branches of people to decide that they're not going down that path, or just, I don't know. I get the impression that if you are not a Christian or a practicing Christian, you don't go to church, that you would really quite stand out in America. I might have that completely wrong, but it's just from my YouTube view of American vloggers and American commenters. Just something I've been wondering. Curiosity and all that. Let's go back to my chat. Someone who hopes for larger breasts. Tits optimist. It's a tids optimist, actually, Tink. But I like your thinking. No, it's definitely not somebody who would like larger breasts. Anyone else want to take a guess on the tids optimist? It's well over 200 now. Well, it's 200 and something, isn't it? So back in 76, I'm 45 this year, so it's 200. So it's nearly 250 years old ish. This is 2022. It is. But I'm thinking about. I'm only 45. We're still here, and so are you. Where was I at on my chat? Freedom of religion. Freedom. What does that mean? Freedom of religion. That you can choose what religion you want to be. Is that, or is that a thing that was passed? A freedom of religion. It's one of the things our country was founded on. Yes, that's what I mean. It was a lot of Christians came over, set up colonies, and I suppose were like missionaries. Is that right? And so that way of life continued. Whereas in England, religion really isn't. I mean, I know people who are Christians. I know far more people that don't go to church than do go to church. And I find that religion is never part of a conversation. And I hung around with a lot of practicing Christians growing up and did do the whole church thing with them. And And so they would say, "Oh, we've got church Sunday morning, or we've got church Sunday afternoon, or whatever." But other than that, that was the only time in my life that I ever had people say, "I'm going to church." It was, what you're doing on Sunday. It was more like, "Oh, car boot sale, don't know, probably go for a walk, lazy morning, fry up," that kind of thing. Saying, "Oh, we're going to church," was not something, and is not something I hear very often. I just find it interesting, the changes. That's everyone likes your comment, Tink. It's gone way overboard lately as well. I'm not at all religious, but I was raised to be. So, as somebody who is not religious, then in America, and I appreciate some states are far more religious than other states. What is North Carolina like for being somebody who's not religious? Is it something that you're kind of like, you're a bit strange because you don't? Or is it never really an issue? Or do you have people trying to convert you? Or I mean, there is no judgment whether people are religious or not, or what religion you follow or choose not to. This is a very safe space for non-judgmental. I do a lot of this, done a lot of hand movements. There's no judgment either way on any of that. But I just find that it's just curious. I like to learn, and I find the best way to learn is to speak to the people who are living it. 4 more years and it'll be, yes, 250 years old. Wow. Yes, you do stand out if you aren't. Again, you're the crabby hermit. Fair enough. Yeah. I did. Yeah. See, I have a friend who moved over. I'm not sure. I have a feeling he lives in Atlanta, actually. He moved over. He was in my year at school. I never remember religion ever. He certainly, when I was doing religious-based things like going to Thursday Bible study, because I fancied the guy who ran it, if I'm honest, and going to Covenanters on a Sunday morning, because that's what my friends were doing. He certainly wasn't involved in any of the churchy stuff that we did. He was not. And then in my teens, like late teens, early 20s, he certainly wasn't living a Christian lifestyle. But he moved over in his early 20s to Atlanta. I'm pretty certain it was Atlanta. And I've noticed in the last few years, he's now very, his comments on pictures and things like that are very much thanking God for everything, and lots of praying hand emojis, and I'm blessed. His whole way of speech and his whole way of talking about things has changed. And he said he was, whatever it is, confirmed maybe, or I don't know, but he was very proud he'd had some ceremony that meant he was sort of a proper part of the church. So that was interesting from somebody who was very not, who's been over there for now 20 years, to see that change in him. Just very interesting. I just find the whole thing very interesting. Freedom of religion is a misnomer. You can't be free of religion, apparently. You can't be free of religion, apparently. Is that because you're not allowed to be free of religion because everyone around you is so religious? Or is that like a philosophical thing? You can't be free of religion. How do you mean it? You often pray in your kayak. Pray that you don't overturn or get eaten by a shark. Not a shark. You don't get many sharks if you're in a kayak. Well, I suppose unless you're in a sea. But I think most kayaks are usually in rivers. So crocodiles and alligators. A lot of people went to America to get away from religious persecution in Europe. Oh, did they? Ah, okay. And I suppose you also had a lot of Irish people move to America, didn't you? There was a huge influx of Irish going to America. Was that after the potato famine? And Irish, again, that's a very Catholic country. So, and again, if you're not, and I don't know what it's like now, but again, if you're not, certainly in my time growing up back in the 90s and what have you, not being a practicing Catholic was very kind of, well, it was a whole Protestant Catholic thing going on with the IRA and all sorts of things back in my childhood. So that's how I knew that Ireland was a very religious country because of all that going on. So yes, I suppose that's two very religious groups of people pollinating in the same place, isn't it? It's all very, I find history and that kind of thing really interesting. Really interesting. I think it's important to talk about them because you don't learn unless you have these conversations. You believe that in America religion has been commercialized, evangelical, God channels, creationism, selling videos, etc. So there is an incentive to keep your populace believing. That's a very good point, actually. Yeah, it is big business, isn't it? It is big business when you think, I mean, I can't imagine. I don't have Sky, so I don't know. But do we have those kind of, we certainly don't have those channels on terrestrial TV. We don't have any kind of evangelical channels or God channels on our normal TV. There probably is on Sky. You can probably get anything on Sky, can't you? For any interest, I would have thought. I do remember seeing actually on Sky there was something about doing tarot card readings. So there's bound to be a Christian or Catholic or what have you station on Sky somewhere. Heaven forbid grant God all the credit. Is that how you feel? Tax exemption just keeps more religious groups forming. So you get tax relief. I do think I heard this. So do churches get tax relief? Is that also a good way for politicians to control people? Yes. Okay. So that's the other thing that I've noticed. So to Boris and that lot here talking about COVID or talking about policies and things, it's all very, this is what we believe, this is what we're trying to achieve, this is what we want, this is what we're putting in place. But when you heard Trump or Biden or anyone else talking, it's very much got a religious undertone. And that's the other thing that I've noticed, you know, with God's grace and with God's this and God, you know, it comes into all the speeches, an element of God is mentioned. We will pray for my prayers, you know, that's the other thing. I'm glad you said that, Tink, because that's the other thing that I was thinking is it's the politicians in America are very religious. The religion comes into the conversation quite a lot. Whereas, again, a difference I've noticed here is it's never discussed. Religion, gods, what have you, I don't think I ever discussed in anything I've ever heard politicians come on and talk about. Unless the subject is to do with a religious topic. Yeah. It's all very interesting. Free Spirit. There's a God channel on my Now Box Catholic, I think, and I can't remove it. Oh, I wonder how that came on there then. Is that on my Now Box? Okay. Oh, okay. So Now Box is English, isn't it? Free Spirit. That's a British thing, isn't it? Now Box, Now TV. I think I've got a Now TV app on my phone, actually. Good morning, Butterbean Head. How are you? We're getting in a very interesting conversation about how the difference in very religious and not very religious in sort of the UK and America. Just very interesting conversation. Supposed to also be based on church separate from the state. So is it meant to be separate then? Are you not meant to So are the politicians in America not meant to bring religion into their workings? They're meant to keep it separate, but they do bring it together because you hear them often refer to God in their speeches. I don't really know anything about American politics, so I wouldn't even begin to understand. You have zero problems with someone foolish. Don't beat me over. Yeah, no, that's what I've always and I said earlier on in this live stream as well. I believe in everybody having the right to believe in their own beliefs. Absolutely. And like now, I am engaging you all in a conversation, and I'm asking questions about religion, which means I am opening the doors for you to tell me your beliefs. But if I invited you over for a cup of tea and we were talking about the weather, I wouldn't then want you to start saying, I'm so blessed that God has given me this, and don't you feel that God's, shining down on us, and because that would be more preaching. And I've invited you over for a cup of tea, not a Bible study session. And I've had that before, where not in person, because this is England, and again, I've not had that. Even point where I've had, we get Jehovah's Witnesses, although not since COVID, Jehovah's Witnesses coming to the door and preaching on your doorstep. And that is a thing that happens here. But I had regular Jehovah's Witnesses, which the same guy would turn up with a different person, maybe 2-3 times a year. And he was so lovely, really nice guy. And he would always ask me how I was. He'd always ask me how the children were. He'd always comment on the fact that I'd got my hands full, because there was, usually 12 children running around me as I was at the door, coming and going. And I was usually holding a spatula because I was in the middle of cooking. And he'd always say to me, I know you're very busy. And he'd always remember my name. And he'd always say, it's so lovely to see you. And I hope you're keeping well. We'd literally have a 2-minute conversation. He'd say, anyway, I'll let you get back to it. I know how busy you are. Can I just leave you this to read? And I would always say, absolutely, thank you very much for your time. So even though I didn't ask him to leave me literature, he was a really lovely person who was very kind to me, who would always say hello to me. And so I was happy to give him that time and to take the piece of literature he was sharing. But if he had stood there on the doorstep preaching to me, that would have been very different. Coming to my door and trying to push his belief on me, I would have found that I would have maybe been a bit offended by that, because I hadn't asked him to come to my door and I hadn't opened that door for discussion. But I do think it's important to have conversations on a whole range of topics, because otherwise we never grow, do we? We never learn. We never see things from any other point of view other than our own. And I think it's always worth having those conversations, because you might from it and suddenly think, well, yeah, actually that makes more sense to me, or I hadn't looked at it from that point of view, or I just think it's important. I have got behind on my comments again, haven't I? This is a long live stream. I should probably finish in like 2 minutes, because it's an hour and a half, and I should probably think about having some dinner or feeding my family at some point. Religion is becoming weaponized here in the US, Northern Flicker. What does worry me, and I'm sure this gets brought up a lot, is the amount of wars which seem to come on the back of some religious thing. So terrorism because you don't believe in their belief, or a war because they don't. That worries me a little bit. And looking at many wars, an awful lot of it tends to come down, from my experience, and I might be wrong, but from what I've seen, seems to come down to a religious base. And that does worry me, because I can't believe, if there is a God out there in this vast world and created all of this, no God would want somebody to kill another human being because they didn't believe in the same thing. I just can't believe any higher being would want that. I think a higher being would want the information to be there to allow these people, if they wanted to, find that information and take it on board if they wish to do so. But if not, then as long as they lead a good, kind life and they are doing no harm to anyone else or anything else, then they should be left to their own devices, is kind of how I see it. But that's probably from a very non-religious viewpoint, so it might be wrong. I don't know. Good morning. Oh, 50 grandma. Hello. So I've got a little bit sidetracked on my chitter chatter. I'm catching up on it. Heading out to the lab for hubby's ECG. I hope it goes well. Good luck. Catch up soon. Painkiller time. Yes, Mark, I do hope you heal very, very quickly. God, separate from state, is brought up a lot. Originally, it was kept the state out of churches. It was to keep the state out of churches' issues. Oh, right. Okay. Don't think you could be voted as a mainstream politician in the US if you aren't Christian or one of its 1,000 flavours, whereas Tony Blair couldn't come out as a Catholic until he'd stopped being Prime Minister. Oh, really? Oh, okay. So you can't be voted to Parliament here if you have a very strong religious view, in case your religion sways your decision making. Is that how it is here? Most religions are very much the same. The golden rule: live and let live. Yes, you see, now that's my view on life, is everyone to their own. As long as nobody is hurting anybody else, causing harm to anybody else, then everybody is entitled to live life in their way. Respect of time and belief is wonderful. Respect of time and belief. Yes, I think so. Everyone should be allowed to be who they are, be true to themselves. Not your average Jojo. Hello, how are you? It's been ages. Gotta go. Have a great day. And you, Bird Nest. They say that 95% of the religions agree on 95% of the religions agree on 95% of the time. So 95% of religions agree on 95% of subjects and subject matter. It's the 5% that causes the problem. Is that what you're saying? Personally, I think teaching morals and ethics based on personal responsibility is much more important. We do. We need to teach. We need to, and I think that's something actually that we do well here, is that we teach that if, whatever gender you believe, whatever gender you identify with, whatever sexuality you are, whatever, how you're growing up, how you choose to be is fine. And you are accepted as who you are, and we accept others for who they are. And that is taught in schools, that is who you are. And if anyone is bullied or harmed because they are gay, bisexual, transgender, any of those things, then that is dealt with. There are policies in place that that's not acceptable. And I think we do that well in schools and a lot of settings. Obviously, still an awful lot to learn, still in the early days of a lot of that sort of stuff. So obviously people are making mistakes, or people are still learning, and there's going to be extremes on both sides. But the fact that we are teaching people to be responsible for how they interact with others and how those people interact with them, you take personal responsibility, is and we do very well here. I do think we do that well. Bunny, how are you doing? I am live, but I'm going to come off in a minute because I need to think about food. You agree with me, Butterbean Head. Raised in a strongly religious home, very legalistic, but you agree with the kindness is always a good rule. Yes, yeah. The problem I had, and I've probably said this a lot of times, the problem I had coming out, which made me decide that this wasn't the path for me, religion wasn't the path for me, despite a lot of my friends being very religious, was the fact that my family had a shop and my parents worked 6.5 days a week, and that was their income. They had 4 children to feed and a house to keep over our heads, and the business to keep going, especially through a recession when, you know, they bought the business just before the recession hit. They had a couple of good years, I think, and then the recession hit bad. And so my parents did work 7 days a week. And I was told 2 things. I was told that I had to love God above my family. And I couldn't imagine anybody loving anybody more than my parents. And then I tried to imagine me having a child and loving God more than my child. Like if I had to make a choice between the two, I would always choose my child. I always choose my parents. So that didn't fit comfortably with me. And then during a Sunday school session, I was told by the person running the session that basically my parents wouldn't go to heaven because they worked Sunday, so they couldn't go to church. And it didn't matter whether they believed in God or not. They were not within a Christian community because they didn't attend church. And that they, even if they prayed to them, you know, before bed or prayed before food or, you know, prayed privately at their own time, it didn't make any difference because they were not part of a Christian family. And so therefore, the fact they worked Sundays, yeah, that was that. They were hell in a handbag, as they say. And I just, again, thought, how could any God believe that that's the right thing to do? That a family that works hard, that are good, kind people who raise their kids with love and respect and work so hard to provide food, clothes, and a roof over their head, how could they be, you know, banned from heaven? So that was my turning point. That was when I was like, this doesn't sit comfortably with me. And I was gone. And then I met a boy as well. And I used to spend my Sundays with him. So that was it. Stuffed. As far as bullying, I always taught my son how we treat others or respect them is a reflection of our own standings. Absolutely. It is. Very well said. Okay, just woke up from a nap that ended up being 4 hours. Someone's not going to sleep tonight, Bunny. Swing. What was the swing? Oh, I see. You can be voted in and be religious in the UK. It's just you can't swing the vote away from... It just can swing the vote away from you as there are more... Right. People might say, I'm not voting you because of your religion. Except Northern Ireland, which is more like the US. I see what you're saying there. You're not religious at all. You have a lot of issues with being mistreated by many people in the name of God. Oh, okay, Butterbean Head. I actually thought you were religious. I think because you were on Kathy's live streams. Although having said that, I was on Kathy's live streams and Blind Views is on Kathy's live streams and none of us are religious. So, but I just liked Kathy's space, if that makes sense, just the kindness. And you know, I'd say to her, could you pray for me, but I would say, could you just bear in mind, you know, put the positive intention out there that so-and-so is unwell or what have you, because I'm all for positive intentions being put out there. And so whether that is in the form of a prayer or meditation or saying the words or just, you know, I'm kind of a big believer in what you put out is what you bring back. The energy you put out, you get back. Is probably the best way I can describe my belief in that. And so by putting a prayer out there, you're putting a positive energy out there. Yeah. But yes, I did. I actually, Butterbean Head, I didn't realise that you were not religious. I thought you were. Priests work Sundays. Yes, they do. They do indeed. Have far more faith in your family raising than anyone I've met in a church building. Thank you. Oh my goodness, that's incredibly kind. Thank you. No, that's, being the best parent I can be is absolutely my number one goal in this world. And the one thing I absolutely cannot afford to fail at is being a good mum. And there is no rule book and there is no set way of doing it. And I just hope that my way of doing it produces happy, confident, outgoing, kind young men at the end of it. Touch wood. They seem to be doing all right. Seem to be doing okay. Problems with them yet. You and Blind Views have been through a lot of the same issues. Sorry, got to go. Catch you later. I think I am actually going to start saying my goodbyes now as well. Just coming to the end of my chitter chatter. God, we've covered a lot today, haven't we? Exactly. A positive attitude. Yes. Cursing yourself, went to school for 2 hours after a long break and it broke me. Yeah, it's got to get back into the swing of things again. Thank you, Butterbeanhead. I think my boys are pretty awesome too. I'm glad other people see it. Being forced is why people actually... My problem with religion was being forced. It's why people turn away. It is either forced on them or, like I said, the sorts of things I was told. I can't believe for one moment that is actually how any God would want you to live. But that's how it was presented to me, unfortunately. And that's always stuck in my head, always stuck. Caroline B, did I finish early today? No, I did not. Let me, for those of you that have come in at the end, let me, before I go, just tell you what's happened. Can I just say, is the picture as bad on the screen as I'm actually seeing it, as pixelated and terrible? I'm using my laptop and the camera is dire on that laptop. And the darker it's getting outside, the worse the image is getting. I usually use my mobile phone, which I'm obviously not doing because I'm using it for my chat. What was the question? Finished early? No, I haven't worked. Kenzie came in last night with a temperature, snuffling and blowing his nose continuously and saying everything hurt. So we've had to go for a PCR test and we're waiting on the results. And obviously I can't open because I have a potential COVID case in the house. So until they're told it's negative, I can't open. And then I went to do my safeguarding online, because I'd booked the course online and it's a you do it in your own time thing. And I went to do it and I couldn't log in. So I've had to send an email off for that. So I decided to do a live chat instead. Excuse me. It's pixelated, yes, and it's got worse. That's because the light is fading. That's why I've just looked at the thing and gone, oh my goodness, that's terrible. Very fuzzy. Yeah, it is fuzzy. You lurk in Blind Views now because the chats can get too heated for me. Yes. Yeah, Blind Views chats are usually on the later side for me, so it's not a good time because it starts at midnight and I'm, asleep usually by then. I do sometimes catch the odd Sunday one or, early random one he does. I know he does rants and that's fine, and I don't mind his rants, but if he's in a place where Camo has wound him up, I stick away from that because I think it's just feeding the beast. So when that's happening, I back away and don't watch as many of his things, just because I don't think it's healthy for either of them to be back and forth at each other, but it's not my business. You're not working either. Your daughter's had 2 positive lateral flows. Oh dear. I'm sorry to hear that, Caroline. You've got, 7 days off, potentially more, depending on when she becomes clear of lateral flows. Hopefully not too long, and hopefully she won't be too ill. But see you on the other side. I'm hoping Kenzie's will come back negative, but the lateral flow he took last night was clear. But this morning when I brought it downstairs to put in the bin, there's a faint line on it. And I know they say to ignore anything after a certain amount of time, but who knows? I'm meant to be going, people. You keep talking to me. Just assumed it was my internet. Oh yeah, it's all your internet. Free. It's nothing. Free Spirit's got nothing to do with me. It's all your bad internet. It's got nothing to do with my camera. Thankfully, I was small, don't remember anything was told to me about God. Just assumed it was the internet signal. Great to see you too. Having a great evening. A few people feel that way. I stay, yeah. I love him, but stay in the lurkers. Yes, Crabby Hermit, I do a lot of that. I do a lot of lurking these days. Just, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Thank you. Interesting conversation. Do tend to follow more of the Green Witch stuff on herbs, etc. Yes, definitely where I am. I'm far more Green Witchy. Camodo. Oh, did he? Oh, wow. Okay. That's actually quite sad, isn't it? I mean, he wasn't necessarily the nicest guy, but I did not know. How did this pass me by? So you can see how long it's been since I got into one of those big live streams. Do we know what that was from? I need to go and do a bit of finding out about that then. Died suddenly in his sleep. Oh. I mean, that's very sad for him and his family and what have you. And it's never good when someone dies, but hopefully, Prime Views will be on a happier trajectory, and a lot of other people, unless, of course, the people that followed Camo are continuing on that rampage. I don't know. It was just a very unhealthy situation all round, if you ask me. Heart attack, they think. Well, I'll have to go and do a little bit of YouTube research now, so thank you for informing me of that. Yeah, you see, I've been very out of the loop. Right, on that bombshell, Top Gear would say, on that bombshell, which was a bit of a bombshell, actually, I'm going to say my goodbyes because I need the toilet. Too much information, I know. And I need to think about food. And Brendan will be rocking up any minute and whizzing off out for his driving lesson. And I need to go and check that Lee and Brendan have everything. No, Lee and Kenzie have everything they need because I've been a neglectful family member for the last 2 hours. So thank you very much for watching. And I will see you all, well, in the next vlog, which goes up tonight.